Hi guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Anime Podcasters. I'm your host, Hotshot Ginger, and with me I have someone who just is impossible to please, JaianMusic. How's it going, buddy?
I don't like that intro. Can you do it again?
See what I mean?
I'm back with you, Hotshot. I am so happy to be back with you. We are going to be discussing Dragon Ball GT, and we're also joined by Murel. Murel, how are you feeling, man?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Very good. Are you excited about this GT greatness that we're about to grand tour about?
Pretty good. As a carrot is orange, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. the Black Star Dragon Balls that are orange and then black in this this series. GT guys is a series that I personally am not the fondest of. I'm just gonna be upfront about it. Hotshot definitely has a warmer spot for it. Murel, just in general, do you enjoy it? Where does it rank for you?
I literally out of the whole Dragon Ball universe, out of rank.
Yeah.
A lot of people rank it 1 to 5 and stuff, and they all have their own sort of saying where 1 is either the worst or 5 is the worst. Mm-hmm. 1 is the best, and I would say GT is around a 3 in the middle because they have good points and they also have bad points, right?
Fair enough. I think we can agree that with the audience and the fans, the Dragon Ball fans saying it's not canon, I think we can arguably say that this one definitely is not the most appreciated series. Would you agree with that, Hotshot?
I mean, even me, yeah, I have a softer spot for GT, but out of all things Dragon Ball, it's at the tail end.
Pun intended?
Pun intended.
Nice.
Yes,
nice,
pun intended. Nice. It's me.
And so let's maybe talk about how we first came across GT. For me, it was definitely just the continuation of Z at the time in the 2000s. You know, that's where Goku's story was, and it continued. So I just hopped on the ride and watched it. When I was a kid, I thought it was good, but looking back, my opinion still stands. What about you guys?
I watched it when I was a kid, and I still watch it today. And the reason why I decided to watch it is because at the point of X, Z, right? Mm-hmm. I thought that it would all be canon and stuff, but then they came out where they're saying it's not canon. Personally, in my own head universe, this is an alternate reality of things that could have happened.
Interesting.
So when you think of it, it could easily be canon, just an alternate reality version of it.
Right.
And so basically, also when you do think about it, is that this is the tournament. This was the tournament of power and stuff. The very last season of GT, right?
Yeah. There's definitely a resemblance. I do want to get into Super versus GT in a minute, but before that, Hotshot, what about you? How did you come across GT?
I did come across GT as a kid, but I only came across it on VHS tapes.
Right.
So the only one that I had was running into Super 17, but it was at the tail end of the arc.
Right.
So did what I could, watched what I could, but it was before streaming and everything. So bits and pieces I was able to pick up, and the rest of it I got through games like Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi, for instance. That dives into GT, and it always kind of amazed me. Because for a long time, my favorite super form was Super Saiyan 4 Goku.
Really?
Yeah. I know a lot of people talk trash about him, but I really like Super Saiyan 4.
I think Super Saiyan 4 has some cool points, definitely. I do want to talk about that as well. But let's start with what I was saying earlier. Super versus GT. I know, Hotshot, you haven't watched all of it yet, but I definitely would like to know, how do you feel like the two compare just in general?
It's kind of weird because GT just feels more campy. It just seems more out there, more crazy and wacky, and Super is just it keeps building up. There's gods of destruction, there's angels who are the only ones who can keep track, who can rein them in. There's not Omega Shenron. There's a God Shenron, essentially. And then GT is use all the Dragon Balls enough times and they explode.
Right.
It's just what? So it just seems like two very different issues, but GT was more so focused on okay, how can we keep the focus on Earth instead of expanding our universe? How can we throw more at Goku?
You actually just made me think of commonality. We have Black Star Dragon Balls in GT, but in Super, we have the Super Dragon Balls. So there's a lot of similarities between the two. You know, there's different versions of Dragon Balls. There's similar arcs in the sense that, you know, the final two arcs, you could say, well, at least the final scenes relate to a tournament. Murel, how would you compare Super versus GT?
I would compare it more around like the combat levels of every fighter and stuff, right? Like Gohan, he was pretty powerful in Super, but he's also a little bit more powerful as well. Well, to the point where Baby ended up controlling him and stuff, right?
Yeah.
He was holding his own and stuff, just like he did in Super, and he was actually pretty good in the Tournament of Power, where they were just figuring out what characters were good at fighting and stuff, where they had Boo,
Right.
Gohan, and Goku.
No, I definitely see what you mean. What about we talked about Super Saiyan 4 being your favorite form, Hotshot. For me, I think it's cool because there's relation to the apes, you know, to the great apes, definitely. But like the way they go about getting to Super Saiyan 4, like you have to pull out your tail via what they were using, like pliers to pull out Goku's tail back so he can become a Super Saiyan 4, or Vegeta gets shot by a tank, which Bulma built. Like the journey to the Super Saiyan transformation has always been what's cool to me, and the journeys to the transformations in GT just fall flat, man. So I don't know how to feel about Super Saiyan 4 in general because of that.
When I said Super Saiyan 4 was like my favorite transformation for a time, I didn't really think of like the journey of getting there or anything.
Right.
I just thought like this is a cool and badass looking form. Like I didn't even know that's how Goku became Super Saiyan 4. I completely forgot about that. But Vegeta needing Bulma to be in Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta has always been a character of effort, like a lot like Goku was. But he, like, you can see how hard he pushed himself and how hard he works for everything he has. And for him to just say, "Woman, shoot me with a beam," and then all of a sudden, boom, God powers. Like, no. That kind of goes against like everything Vegeta is. Like he's full of pride. Everything he does himself, kind of thing. And then he needs help to achieve the new form. Like needing help, like saying like a rivalry with Goku, or for instance, like just the drive to beat him. Like in a way, that's Goku helping. But no, this is just Bulma legitimately getting directly involved. And no, that just ruins it.
Right. No, I completely agree.
It could also be a metaphor of him asking for her help to be the best that he can be and stuff, right?
Yeah, but
and
again, that's Vegeta of all characters asking for help.
Yeah.
It's probably because he also probably saw that there was no other way, right?
I mean, maybe.
I guess so. I mean,
don't get me wrong. You have a point. You do. Mm-hmm. It's just the way that I see it, Vegeta being like way too prideful in order to actually do that. Even if it's Bulma.
Mm-hmm. True. Having a human help you, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I love a point that Murel brought up in the Google document in preparation for this. How strong is Super Saiyan 4 to Super Saiyan God, aka Super Saiyan Blue? I'm just gonna say Super Saiyan 4 does not compare. Super Saiyan 4 does not compare.
God alone demolishes him, and Blue turns him to ash.
Yeah, no, but like I was gonna bring that up as well because we were on the topic of Super Saiyan 4. Personally, from my point of view and stuff, I'm pretty sure that they're like literally like the tier underneath Blue. That would be Super Saiyan 4 and stuff. So if there was no Super Saiyan Blue, there would have been Super Saiyan 4, and they would have had their own little outtake of it, right?
So do you think it's stronger than God, at least?
I would say on par, because like Super Saiyan 4 is kind of like using the, like what we've been saying, the ape powers and stuff, right?
Right.
And that power is basically taken from the sun, from the moon and stuff. And what you could say is that like the power from the moon could easily be God essence, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Like celestial essence. Or
celestial
like that.
essence. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
And so what you could say is that when they're in their ape form, they could be considered gods because way back when Dragon Ball, like the Dragon Ball Prince Vegeta and before Prince Vegeta's became that world, right? They didn't know that they had this power until like one day they looked up and looked at too long and everyone thought that they were a god and stuff, right? And that's pretty much where the Super Saiyan God rumor stories and stuff like that came from, to when they found out Broly and stuff, right?
Okay, I see.
And that's where all the stories came from the first person to become an ape, and people saw that he turned into an ape, so they thought he was a god.
Of destruction, question mark? No, I'm kidding.
Not of destruction, that's Beerus.
So we talked a little bit about Broly. He's a villain. I kind of want to get into the villains of GT. Let's just go. I usually ask for favorites. Worst villain, straight up. Hotshot, just give it to me right now. Worst villain.
Peel off.
I would say as well, peel off, yes.
Peel off is...
But when you think...
Look, okay, so before this, in preparation, we watched recaps to just quickly remind us what happened in GT. The only two I remember are Omega Shenron and Baby. And that's it. I don't remember anyone else except for Super 17.
Yeah.
But all the villains I remember actually seemed like fearsome villains, and then Pilaf blows his wish, wishing Goku was a kid again, and that kickstarts the entire show. So
it did kickstart the whole show, because if he wasn't turned into a baby, then maybe he wouldn't have been able to become Super Saiyan 4. So then he wouldn't have been able to just
because he
kick ass
because he had his tail back.
Yes, he did.
But that's okay. If he's an adult, let's just have Bulma shoot him too.
That is true.
Yeah. So there was a way around it. It's like, okay, so literally there's no point to Goku becoming a kid again.
They probably just wanted Goku to have like a better transformation. They just wanted to give Vegeta hell.
I know the actual reason they actually did make Goku a kid.
Why?
Because with how much power Goku has, like as an adult fighter, his kid body can't hold all that power at once. That's why Super Saiyan 4 lasts such a short time. But it's like, that is the tiniest bumper you can give this guy.
That's so dumb.
It's so like, dumb. Okay, how do we make him weaker? Let's just make him a kid. No, how about making him fucking human? Boom, problem solved. And the best part, he won't grow out of that. It was just a very stupid thing in my mind, because I'm like, if I want Kid Goku, I'll watch Dragon Ball. And I don't know. It's just always been something in GT that's bothered me.
Right.
Yes.
I don't know. Like, for me, like I just said, like Goku as a kid was just, I don't know. I understand why it makes I think it's a point as to why GT feels more campy than Super, you know? Like the Super is not, they're not gonna, you know, I don't think Akira Toriyama greenlit that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was just a way of having his teenage granddaughter calling an 8-year-old child grandpa. Just to confuse us all in the West.
That's actually
the only reason they did it.
That was a funny episode when Pan literally freaks out saying, "You're not my grandpa."
He's like, "No, Pan, I am, I promise." And his voice is like 20 octones higher than hers. I promise I'm your grandfather. I banged your grandmother and your son came out. You are a child. It's just all kinds of, I mean, don't get me wrong, anime's always had that kind of special air, but it's still weird.
Yeah, it is.
I would venture to say that Dragon Ball Super Pan is more interesting than Dragon Ball GT Pan. And
yeah, because I care about Super Pan.
Yeah, well, she stays a baby for most of it, and the only like interesting thing she does in Super, from my recollection, is she like flies to space at one point, just because she flies to space. But she literally is a baby the whole time, and I still enjoyed that more than GT Pan. Like GT Pan just felt like kind of dead weighty to me. Like she does like do some cool things here and there. She does help Goku get out of sticky situations, but other than that, her character growth throughout the anime was so limited. And I guess she's useful in the sense that, and this is another point of Murel's that I want to bring up in the document. You know, she does stick all the way to the end, and she's there at the end of the tournament when she sees, I don't know, I'm going to venture to say Goku's great grandchild fighting against Vegeta's great grandchild, and she sees Goku out in the audience and everything. It's a good way to conclude the series, but like, I don't know, how did she live so long? Anyways, I don't know. What do you guys
Dragon Balls, and also with the blood of the Saiyans, because they do live a long time.
Yeah, blood of Saiyans. That makes sense.
And plot armor.
That too.
That does help.
Because
Plot armor a day keeps the doctor away.
when you say live so long, are you talking just about the ending, like just how old she is, or just how useless
exactly.
she was in all the fights and didn't die in one of those?
I mean, you know what? Both.
Well, yeah, you could say both. She was Lucius, but like she also did a lot of good and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, like she does have Saiyan blood. Like, yeah, it's like what, a quarter or something like that, or 33% Saiyan.
I think a quarter.
Yeah.
Because Gohan's half.
It's a
true.
quarter because Gohan's half. But I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen humans live long in Dragon Ball. Like Roshi's over 300.
Yeah, no,
I
but-
know he has his secrets and I know he has his ways, but he's still human who lived over 300 years.
True, and also plus he might have given Pan the secret to live that long as well, right?
So there are
we
definitely ways.
We don't really know how she lives that long, but like all that we know is that like she helped Goku's great whatever grandson, right? To
Right.
be on the path that he's on. And we have no idea how many other great grandchildren there are in the series because they only focus on one, right?
Because that's the one that matters. Everyone
Yeah.
else became accountants or scholars.
Yeah, I know,
But
right?
this is the only one that's fighting.
For all we know is that the president of that world could be like, hey,
A dog.
no, well, yeah, a dog, yes, but like the human before him that was probably the president, right? Could have been also related to Goku and just didn't know, but the same part of him, and he just lived as a human and then died as a human, right?
I mean, a lot of possibilities. But
Yeah.
I do want to jump back here because we talked a lot about Goku and all about Pan. But this show follows a trio. And someone that's in that trio is, I don't want to say future, but I guess present time Trunks, teenager Trunks. And to me, this is a question I definitely want to send.
He's
over to you,
ass!
Hotshot. Yeah, just to you, Hotshot, because future Trunks is your favorite character.
Yeah,
but
he's
this
my-
one falls flat, man.
So-
Like, this one's
so
not
bad.
future Trunks. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the struggle. He doesn't have the work ethic. He kind of tries here and there, but he's, I don't know. I know
He's
I know
not
you said-
Future Trunks. That's
He's
really
not.
all you can say about him because
Yeah.
Future Trunks, yeah, he went through the struggle. He knew what it was to be like the last hope and like a mankind savior and everything.
Yeah.
Future Trunks, or GT Trunks rather, does not. And frankly, I remember less about him than I do about Pan. I know that his best friend's Goten, that hasn't changed. And I know that he's like mellowed out and became more like Bulma the older he got, as opposed to like when he was very aggressive as little Trunks. But I don't remember him at all. And like Future Trunks, I could talk to you about an entire podcast just on that one character. This guy, I'm like, and Trunks was there, and that's about it. That's all I got.
Right.
See, I have a different memory of that. Like Trunks, he is good and stuff, but also remember, it's like he also had to take over the family business and stuff, right? So he did have to mellow out.
He did have to mellow out. That is true. That is true.
And like even his dad, Vegeta, literally said, in this time of peace, you gotta toughen up. This is a takeover. I'm taking over the business. Because he wanted both Goten and Trunks to go into space with Goku, right?
He did.
Literally, he was dragging them by the ears.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's a
And
fair.
I mean-
that's a fair point.
That is
And
literally
also,
what happened.
this isn't a point. I just want to bring it up. Vegeta Mustache.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I
That's
agree.
just a thing that exists.
No.
Character development at its finest.
Worst villain, Vegeta's mustache.
Here's the thing, like it takes a long time for them to grow anything. He was probably in the hyperbolic chamber for a long time. Because remember, what was it? It was somewhere in like Super or something like that, right? Maybe.
Oh yeah, no,
Maybe
it was super.
Yeah,
It was super when they were in the
the
for 3
chamber,
years.
and then they came out with like full on beards and mustaches or whatever, right? Longer hair too. Well, no, not longer hair, just facial hair and stuff.
Yeah, they were in there for like 3-4 years, I think.
I thought it was longer.
Might have been 5. I think it was just 3 though, because they only had like an entire week to get everyone else ready for the
Oh yeah,
ready
yeah.
for the start of the tournament.
Yeah. I remember that now. It's just I
believe so.
remembered that I remember that like everyone on like the like certain boards for like Reddit and other places when it first came out the episode, people were like, "Oh my god, they can grow facial hair now."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing else to say about that. Like, yes, King Vegeta had facial hair. Vegeta has a mustache. It's hereditary, right? That's what else, right?
I know, right?
But going back more to characters in GT, I want to talk about the villains a bit more. We did discuss Peel Off, but that is like the bottom of the barrel here. Let's start with Baby. Baby was my favorite villain in GT, and I love the concept of Baby. That's what I love the most about him. The fact that he can infiltrate other people's bodies, and then he takes over Vegeta, to me was such a cool way to, I don't know, it was like very Boo-like to me, and he's like from a different race, right? The Tuffles, and I just really enjoyed Baby. I think that his personality, he's just terrorizing, and he's evil, and he's a good villain. Like on his own, we have a good villain with Baby. He was one of those only villains, I would say, almost, that I was really happy was in the series. I think the Baby arc was my favorite arc, the more I'm discussing it. What about you guys? What do you guys think of Baby?
Baby, I mean, you said it, Jaden. He reminds me a lot of Boo, like especially after the recap. But instead of absorbing people into him, like him possessing and him kind of playing a long game, honestly, until he was ready to take over Vegeta and like do
he climbed
his
the
final
ropes.
attack.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was kind of insane to see that long game, but then here comes Goku, one punch, boom, you're gone. But he was very creepy and very like, it was almost eerie to see Baby like emerge out of somebody, like basically when he was done using him as a shell.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was strong, but I think he was more creepy than anything.
Yeah. What about you, Murel?
Baby was pretty good. Like, there were a lot of similarities to Boo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did like of how both of the Boos, right, ended up combining to make one Boo finally, instead of having the reincarnation Boo and then the original Boo.
Right.
And like there were a lot of similarities, like taking control, but one took control of the body, the other one just absorbed them, right? And like yeah, that's actually literally about it, because it's not like Baby was able to like do all this kind of stuff with his body, turn it into like a marshmallow or whatever, right? When Boo was literally, you could have easily called him a god. He technically was a god.
I think he's probably like god level, but but other than the similarities between Boo and Baby, how do you feel about Baby like ranking? Like, where would you rank him in the villains in GT? Because to me, he's the best one.
Out of like ranking of like how many, like 1 to 5?
No, like out of, I don't know, like is he in your favorites for in the GT villains? Like
He
comparing
is
to
my
17 and
favorite.
everything.
He is in my favorites. It's just like he could have been so much more when you think of it, right?
I think everything could have been so much more with GT.
That too. Could have been way more episodes just having like a major big giant fight scene.
But everything is so condensed because it's GT, right? Because it's only like 65, 64 episodes. So these villain arcs, they don't run for more than maybe 10, 12 episodes. I feel like that's a long arc for GT. So yeah, Baby was definitely an enjoyable part, but I want to talk about Super 17. Super 17 was also pretty cool, but I did feel like it was just kind of reusing stuff from Z to try to make it more interesting. How'd you guys feel about Super 17?
Honestly, Super 17 was my favorite villain out of it.
Oh, really?
But again, that's because where I started with GT was the Super 17 arc. So I saw Trenchcoat 17 and Classic 17, and then the absolute havoc they wreaked. It felt like the 17 from Trunks' future. Like, it just felt like him just wreaking havoc over everything and just completely decimating it. And honestly, just like as a powerhouse villain, and I have always liked androids. Like, the androids are probably some of my favorite characters in Z, like villain or otherwise. But it also, and I realize this has happened multiple times, it is a move Goku knows. It is a move that he frequents on, especially in like really big fights. But this was my first exposure to the Dragon Punch.
Right.
To the Super Dragon Fist and the Kamehameha in that same wound to finish 17 off. And that fight was hands down one of my favorite moments, not just in GT, but in Dragon Ball. Like, just the combo of Super Dragon Fist and Kamehameha.
Like, to me, like researching 17 a bit more, I remember that he was fused because there's an evil version of 17 and like the good 17. And it's the fusion of the two that make Super 17 become a thing. So I like the split personality thing it has going on. But once again, the way he absorbed those Kamehamehas was so creepy. I just remember Goku firing like a huge ki blast, and he's just like, it looks like it's like the best moment of his life. He's just absorbing all this ki, and he's like, yes, give me more ki. And I'm just like, there's nah, I don't know. What about you, Murel? How did you feel about 17?
17 was pretty good because, like, remember, Cell could absorb other androids, so it was kind of right fit that the other android 17, right, could absorb the original 17, right? It was kind of like poetic in the way where they're now a whole and not just two halves, right?
Right.
And yeah, that's all that I literally have to say. That like now it's basically double power instead of just two different separate entities having the same power just split between two different entities.
And it still got beat by Goku because plot armor.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, Goku has a ton of plot armor, even in the newest ones. Why can't he just lose something where other people have to step in to save his ass, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And the other villain I wanted to talk about, Omega Shenron, the final villain. Really, it's the combination of all the Dragon Balls. How is that set up again? I'm trying to remember. There's Omega Shenron. There's like another Shenron before or after that. Do you guys remember how that was all set up?
I don't. Sorry about that one. I don't remember that much about that one.
I just remember the Dragon Balls getting cracked.
Yeah,
and
they were like had evil energy in
black
them.
smoke.
Yeah,
seven dragons coming out. Like that's all I remember.
Yeah. I mean, there was like evil energy, and that's basically what starts the final arc of GT. How did you guys feel about Omega Shenron and just the Shenrons in general as villains in this series?
Lazy.
Oh yeah.
I honestly think Omega Shenron as a whole was probably the strongest villain out of the entire show, and that's why they saved him for last, because he's probably the biggest powerhouse of the entire show. But just that they're like, we're running out of ideas for villain. Oh, we know. What about Shenron? He could be a villain. How the fuck are we going to do that?
Right.
And then that birthed the idea, and I'm just like, Shenron is like pretty much a god, and just like basically him just getting like, you know what? No, I'm tired of granting wishes. Like that's kind of the energy that it was. It's just like if they're overused, they can break. It's like the Dragon Balls are literally a godly item, and they can get wear and tear. What the fuck?
I think it's because they were overused. They were overused, Hotshot.
Yeah, because they got wear and tear. Like just basically overused. Like so basically, you just got tired of it all.
Yeah, basically.
Like this is why we have the stipulation. You can only use it once per year. Like the rule was already in place. Once per year, that's good. You're fine. That's stipulation.
So what, did Bulma just use it to stay young? That was a joke in like what was it? Also in Super, where they were all gearing towards like everyone. Right now, it wasn't in GT. It was in Super Brawly.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, what are you trying to do? I'm gonna make myself look 5 years younger. Like, what? Why 5 years? Because it would be 10 years is too much. People start asking me about things. 5 years is just better. And then Frieza's like, oh, I want to be like 5 inches taller.
Yeah.
in my base form. And he's like, why don't you just stay in your form that you're in now? Because it's not the same.
Right. Oh man, the good times.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Oh man. But going back, I think we basically covered all of these villains. There's nothing much else to say about them. Maybe let's get into final thoughts about GT. If there's any other points you guys wanna bring up, let's start with you, Murel. What are your final thoughts on GT just as a whole?
GT as a whole, very well done. Very good like continuation of Dragon Ball, right? Mm-hmm. And I liked it and stuff, and pretty good. There is one thing I do want to add is like, what are your guys' thoughts on why Goku went with Shenron at the end? Like, what are your thoughts?
No more because he's done. You know, he's out of there
because he's just peaced.
Yeah,
here's the thing. Every time we've seen Goku leave, and we've seen him leave multiple times, it's always been because there's more training to do. In order to get stronger. This Shenron says, all right, I'm out. You coming? And that's it. There's no promise of training or anything. He just dips.
Yeah.
If there was promise of training, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that fits Goku. But he's like, hey, you want to ride? Sure. Later.
You want to ride?
It's just like, don't get me wrong. Goku's always pissed on his family, but damn.
Well, yeah, but also plus he was also going for training, but also plus he knew that if he was needed on Earth again, he needs to be the strongest he could be, right? Mm-hmm. So like he was going with him to basically make sure that he was ready for the next fight.
Right. Absolutely.
So basically, when Pan saw Goku there at the end, she's like, "Oh shit, something's coming."
Yeah, basically.
You didn't come here to see us. You're like, "Oh fuck, the world's gonna end."
Yeah, again. And while I'm still alive here.
It's like, no, I've been through one pandemic. I can't do this again.
And yet we're still in a pandemic.
Yep, because we don't have a Goku.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a Goku.
Exactly. We need a Goku.
Jaden, be our
Hotshot.
Goku.
Hotshot.
And when everything's done, just leave.
I'm gonna ask for a wish, and my wish is for you to give me your final thoughts on GT.
Well, luckily for you, they upped Shenron, so he grants 3 wishes. Honestly, I don't hate GT, but it's not one of my favorites. Like, it's a guilty pleasure show, if anything. I know it's bad, I know it's campy, and I know it's not. This isn't Z. No shit, it's called GT. It's literally called another show. But there are some things in it that I like. I like the action. I like Super Saiyan 4. And some, like, yeah, there's a lot of screaming and fighting. Have you never watched anything Dragon Ball ever? There's a lot of screaming and fighting anyway.
Kamehameha!
So, I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of things to poke fun at. There's a lot of things to dissect and just say, like, basically call it crap. Like, I know it's crap, but I enjoy this crap. It's like when you yourself take a good crap. It's like, that was a good crap. That is GT.
I'm gonna end it there with you. That's your final
Crap.
thought. Okay, in all seriousness though, for myself, like this series, the way I see it is, would we be better off without it? And the answer is yes. If you don't watch it, if you finish Z and you watch Super, you're better off. So to me, this was just a topic that was eventually going to happen because, you know, we like reviewing not the best animes. We kind of have a tradition of the Halloweens over here. I feel like this is like the Halloween review of Dragon Ball series. It's not that great. It holds up in cool moments. It has potential here and there, but overall it falls flat. And I know I'm repeating myself, so I'm just going to leave it at that. In that point. All right, let's wrap things up. Let's start with you, Hotshot. Where can people find you? And are you streaming in February?
You guys can find me right here on JaianMusic's channel doing podcasts and now having somewhat of a buffer. Thank you, Murel, to help me with Jaden's just Jaden. And like he said, yes, you guys can also find me over on Twitch at Hotshot Ginger, where I am a streamer. I play games and talk with you guys, so come ahead, check me out. I haven't been there lately, but I do promise to get back into it soon. If I haven't been already, me and Kyo are working on something to spice things up, unless it's already active, so we'll see when this comes out. We're recording this in advance. And something I did mention last time, while you guys are over on Twitch checking me out, if I'm offline, go ahead and find our former co-host Yuki at Cascai Snow over on her Twitch channel. She just started. She's already doing a fantastic job. I popped in on her a couple times, and honestly, she's great. She's one of our dearest friends. Go ahead and send her some love. Tell her we sent you.
Absolutely. You know what would be a dope topic? VTubers 2.0 with you and Yuki.
Oh boy.
That would be such an interesting topic to do.
Yeah.
We might hit her up. We'll see what happens.
I think that would be really cool to get into. Murel, where can people find you on the interwebs?
People can find me on Twitter on Runes Michael, RUNES Michael. That's my handle. And also on Instagram called Vimpulse Pro.
Perfect.
That's what it is.
For myself, I am at JaianMusic on social media. JaianMusic.com is my website. The art for the podcast is done by GoProKyo. So please go give him a follow over at GoProKyo on Twitter. And you can follow the podcast at Anime Podcasters on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also leave us a 5-star review on ratethispodcast.com/Anime Podcasters. Please take the survey in the description. And you can also leave us a voicemail on speakpipe.com/Anime Podcasters. So yeah, we'll see you in March. So for myself, Murel, and Hotshot, this has been another episode of
Anime Podcasters.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Kamehame, bye.